Super Rugby time, and this year around I'll be doing Friday and Saturday previews. I'm gonna be separating the things a little bit and see if it works a little bit better for me and for you, because it always felt like I'm rushing everything a little bit if I try and put everything into one preview video. So this Friday we have some big games. We have the Blues versus the Chiefs, that is just kicking off the season. Then we have the Brumbies versus the Reds, and then the Sharks versus the Bulls. So there's 3 derbies for the first day. What better can you ask for? If you want to check out a specific game, you can find the timestamps or the time tags down in the description below. Let's get into it. First game up, it is the Blues versus the Chiefs. A lot of people have a lot of big expectations for the Blues this season, and you can kind of see the reasoning why with the inclusion of Beauden Barrett in the team, the big signing, but you're gonna have to wait till April for him to actually arrive. But they still have one big name on the field today. They have Marchant, the English international. He's playing. He's still young. He's still exciting and has a lot of potential. And he said he wants to play a season of Super Rugby. So it's exciting to see him there. But without Beauden Barrett, they still look like that backline needs a little bit of firepower at number 10. Looking at the Chiefs, if you have big expectations from the Blues, then you have to have massive expectations from the Chiefs. They are hinted to actually win this title or be contenders to actually win the title in the end. They have included Aaron Cruden in their side and actually brought in Warren Gatland as one of the new coaches. And you can just think of how that will change the dynamics of the side. Warren Gatland is a mastermind head coach, so everything might change a little bit with him as the head there. Having a closer look at the side, starting at the back, we have number 15, Matt Duffy. I've always been a big fan of him. He's not a flashy player, but he does his job. He gets over the line a lot and he scores a lot of tries. Then it is Talia. He's making his debut this weekend. And at 11, Ioane was not moved to centres like it was hinted he will. He might be moved a little bit later in the season, but for now, sticking around at the winger. He's always a top scorer, so if you play fantasy rugby, put him in your side now. And by the way, fantasy rugby, the Superbru links are down below. If we have a closer look at the Chiefs side, in the wingers you have Wainui and Alomalo, so it's 2 great wingers. In the midfield for the Blues, they have Fayane and Marchant, the English international. Like I said, Fayane, he's really dangerous. This is going to be a dangerous combo, these two, and you have to look out for these two in this Super Rugby campaign. For the Chiefs, they have Nankivell and the prodigy coming through, making his debut, Tupia. I think that's going to be a good game for him as well. Hopefully, he doesn't have too many difficult runs to defend against Marchant. Both teams don't have the best 10s on the field. They have Perifetta and Trask. Trask making his debut for the Chiefs. And then the scrum halves for both sides, Triple T from the Chiefs. The season is way too young for me to try and say his surname. Way too difficult. But anyway, Triple T versus Ruru. I think that's going to be a big battle as well, but not as big as you might expect. Triple T, he's still supposed to come and try and get his name back out there. Try and get All Black selection yet again. In the loose forwards for the Chiefs, they have a bit more firepower than the Blues. They have Boshier, Karpik, and then the new captain, Sam Cane. I think he's going to be vital for them this year. Especially, I think he might be the new All Blacks captain as well. I think he might be. Tell me what you think about that call I just made there. And if that wasn't enough, the 2 locks they chose, Ardron and Brown, both of them can play loose forwards as well. Both of them are quite good there as well. So they have a lot of loose forward firepower on the field. The loose forwards for the Blues, they have Papali'i. He's been looking for a breakthrough year, and I think this year is his time to shine. Then they have Lamborn and Sotutu. In the locks, they also went with Big Red Robinson. He's at the lock as well. Also a loose forward that can play at the lock. And then he joins Tuipulotu, the captain, who's been better last year, especially with his hands. He had a little bit of issues there at a stage in his career. Not one of the front rows really draw attention if you look at it quickly. For the Blues, Mafaleo is probably the only guy that draws a lot of attention. And then for the Chiefs, it is Laulala, who is the big guy over there. The players on the bench that you have to look out for the Blues, they have Tunekwafe and Tuongafase, the two All Black props there. So they used them last year to come off the bench and bring some force from there. But I was actually hoping that they'll start this season. They've done a lot better when they are actually on the field. So hopefully they get more shots this season. And then for the Blues, they went with Narawa. I'm excited to see him. I think he's going to be a future star in the side. For the Chiefs, the guys to look out for is Ta'avao, but their backline replacements, they are the star power. They have Weber, Cruden, and Anton Leonard-Brown, and that's just firepower over there. Look out for the second half when they come on. I think this will be a typical New Zealand opener with a few mistakes at the beginning of the game, but then when the teams kind of settle into it, they are going to try and outscore each other with tries. The Blues are at home, so it might be good for them. They were good in the preseason so far, but the Chiefs, with that second half players that they can just bring in, they have a little bit more depth. I think the Chiefs will win by 7. The next game is the Brumbies versus the Reds, and they say this game might be called off due to air quality with the Australian bushfires going on and all that stuff. So it would be a shame, but it is understandable. Super Rugby actually now has a new framework to actually take into account the air quality as well. So that's a good adjustment to how the things are done in Super Rugby. Getting to the game though, it is surprising to me how many people are backing this young Red side to have a good year this year. Previous years are nothing to go by though, but people are backing them to actually do something extraordinary this year. Going to the Brumbies, they were definitely Australia's best team in 2019, and they'll probably be expected to be the best team this year around as well. So it's basically theirs to lose, but they have lost some big names in the off-season. So can they actually continue with that mauling strategy that they did last year? They scored a lot of tries with it. They never actually had the ball. If they had the ball in their half, they kicked it away and tried to get a maul going somewhere from a penalty and got tries from there. If we have a look at the teams, starting at the front row this time, because I think this is where the star power lies with the Brumbies. They have Sio and the new captain Alan Alalatoa. I think that's powerful, just those two alone. And then they have Fainga as well. And from mauls, you're going to see him trying to score some tries. And that's just an excellent front row. For the Reds, they have JP Smith and Paenga Amosa. He played some good weeks of rugby in 2019. Sometimes he actually made my dream team for the week. And then Tupou, he's actually now kind of in a leader role this year. He's still young, but in that side, he's an old guy. Second row for the Reds, it is Blythe. And then they shift one of my favorite loose forwards or flankers to the lock. They shifted Salakaya Lotto to the locks. I think that we might see that happening more often this season, with the captain actually now playing in Salakaya Lotto's spot. So I think that's still good for him. He's still a great player, so he should be on the park. Doesn't matter where. The second row for the Brumbies, they have Swain and Douglas, not the biggest names over there. Then for the Brumbies, they have impressive loose forward stocks. They have Valentini. He was great last year, and hopefully again he doesn't have too many injuries as the season before that. And then they have Cusack and Samu. Look out for Samu. He has very strong runs. He's quick as well. It's just great to see that black mullet going all over the park when he is running with the ball. The loose forwards are going up against Scott Young, the new captain, right, who's just 22 years old, actually comes from South Africa. He's born here, by the way. And then the debut for Wilson. The number 9-10 pairing for the Reds, number 9 McDermott. He's a quick service kind of 9. And then the other 9 is playing at number 10, Lucas. He can play there. He's also quick. So the 9-10 combo might actually really complement each other, and I'm quite interested to see what happens there. Then one of the most experienced guys in the side at number 12, James O'Connor, or Jock as he's known. He's one of the biggest transfers for this season. If you haven't checked out that video, it is up here. And I can't wait to see what he does with Pataya outside him, the young guy who's just hinted to be one of the best Australia's ever had. Let's see if that actually goes in that direction with the right guidance. So hopefully with the guidance of James O'Connor, it can go in that way. The 9-10 combo for the Brumbies. At 9 they have Powell playing with the debutant Lolasio, and it's going to be interesting what happens there. The 12 for the Brumbies is Simone, and then 13 is the ever-present and the super strong running Kuridrani. So the centers are going to be an interesting battle for me. It's just a bunch of Wallabies going head to head with each other. Out wide for the Reds, they brought in Spate straight into action against his old side. It's going to be a big game for him, and he will want to impress against them as well. Then Jock Campbell on the other wing. I think he was good as well from what we saw last year, the little bit that we saw. I liked what he had to show. Then Hegarty at number 15. I think that is where he belongs. That's where he plays his best rugby. It's a lot better for me when he joins the line in that fashion than playing at number 10. The Brumbies outside, they have Tom Wright, and then the league star coming in, Kata. He's on the wing. Look out for him. He's small and short, and he's stocky. He weighs like 104 kgs. I think he's 177 meters tall, and I think he can really do some damage. He's like a little wrecking ball on the wing. Then fullback Tom Banks as always. The key players to look out for on the bench, the Brumbies, they have Slipper and Neville. Then Miller as well, you should look out for them. And then for the Reds, the guys to look out for would be Rodda and Stewart. Hopefully this game does get played. It is last year's best team in the conference, so it looks promising because it's them versus the possible contenders for this year. And I haven't seen much from the Reds yet, but they look like they have a lot of potential, how people are talking them up a little bit. But at the end of the day, I think the Brumbies forward pack does look a bit stronger than the Reds one, so I think the Brumbies will win by 12. Then it is the big South African derby, the Sharks versus the Bulls. And at this point of the season, it is probably a competition to see who's going to be second in the pool. Because, let's face it, the Jaguares are favourites to top the South African pool again. And with the Sharks and Bulls playing in the first weekend, you know it is going to be a big one to show what they can actually do and put all their stars onto the field and to show everyone the people that they have brought in and the players that they have brought in. Having a closer look at the teams from 15 for the Sharks, it is the only backline player in their side that isn't a Bok yet. Fassi, he's a dangerous runner. He will probably become a Springbok one day. And then on the wings, they have the World Cup winning duo, Mapimpi and Nkosi. For the Bulls, they have Galant, another Springbok on the park, and he will want to have a good year and have no injuries, especially with guys like Fassi actually putting some pressure on him this year. With Hendricks on number 14 shifting again to his normal position after playing at 13 on the Superhero Sunday game. He scored a lot of tries at the end of the season last year. In the start, he had a little bit of a quiet start to it, so hopefully he just continues from where he ended. And then Speckman, he will want to just have a fast start yet again. Johnny Kotze, he is back at number 13, and then Captain Woodendal, he is at 12. And they may have a tough day at the office versus the Springbok duo of who is the new captain in the side. I like this appointment. He is like the defense king in that side, never misses a tackle, and he really organizes the line. And then the other centre, Esterhuizen, who's just going to want to improve this year, especially after he has announced that he is leaving after this year. At number 10 for the Sharks, they have Bosch, and he says he wants to make that number 10 jersey his own because he wants to star there for the Springboks yet again. And I think he's going to be dangerous for the Sharks. He is dangerous when he plays at number 10. The only problem with him is his defense sometimes. At number 9, they have Schroeder. For the Bulls, they have Ivan van Snail or Ivan van Sail. Depends on who you want to call him. Some Bulls fan might hate me for that. Some Bulls fan might like me for that. He joins the 35-year-old Mornestein in that combo. Mornestein, it's his first game back in Super Rugby since 2013. I like the signing. I think it's quite good for them to have him back. A lot of people aren't so fond of him though, but I think it's a good signing. He wasn't at his best on Superhero Sunday, but I think he still has a lot to offer, especially kicking at goal. He can just make a team suffer doing that. At number 8 for the Bulls, they have Josh Strauss. He's just going to make some strong carries with the ball, making his Bulls debut. And then Rudolph. And then they also have Nonkontwana. I think he's going to have a good year this year as well. Coming from the Cheetahs, I do like him as well. Then for the loose forwards for the Sharks, they have Noche and Venter both making their debuts. Noche, I like him. He comes from the Stormers, so I would like him. And then Tyler Paul. The locks for the Sharks, Hiron Andrews, he had a great 2019, so he would want to build on that. He was in my fantasy team all the time. And then Van Heerden. For the Bulls, they have Andries Ferreira, who's joined by the veteran John Creer. He's just a great lock. You could see in the preseason games that they threw to him in the lineouts all the time, so I think he's going to be a target a lot this year. In the front row for the Bulls, they have Kuboka back from his injury. He was amazing last year as well, and he will want to continue from that. Then their hooker is Versaghi, and at number 3 they have Herbst. The front row for the Sharks, they have Thomas du Toit and Oxenchair, so 2 Springboks there. Oxenchair back into Super Rugby coming from the Cheetahs, and then Van Vieren on the number 2, so I think he's going to be under pressure to actually fill Akker van der Merwe's boots. The key players on the bench for both teams, the Sharks, they have Burden, Roots, who's going to make his debut, and then Nohamba. Look out for him this season. And then the Bulls, they went with a 5-2 split like the Boks did. So going for that forward dominating bench. So let's see how that turns out for them. They have Nyakane, they have Matanzima, I like him as well. Papier, a Springbok number 9, and then Lebok, he's going to play a good year, I think, this year, because he had a couple of years now in Super Rugby where he hasn't been completely where he should be, but I think this year he's going to have a good year. Looking at this game, I think the South African derby will always feature some forward play, some forward dominating play. The teams will always try and dominate the set piece, and we might see some mauls and stuff like that. We might see some tries from the mauls as well. The Sharks backline is a lot stronger than the Bulls one, I would say. But the Bulls front back is a lot stronger than the Sharks one, I would say. At the end of the day, I'd go with the team that played better last year. I'd say the Bulls may win this one by 5, but it is a difficult one. Guys, let me know your predictions for this weekend down in the comments below. If you want to also join the Superbru predictions, it is also down in the description. And then check out any of these other videos popping up next to me. And remember to hit the subscribe. Cheers.